Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Man Basketball Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mark Shorten. I would like to apologise first and foremost. My Week 1 Waiver Wire podcast was recorded, edited, and I thought it was posted, but an error occurred whenever I was posting it and it didn't get posted. So apologies for that. Hopefully everybody managed to get through Week 1 without any sort of issues, without any sort of hiccups whenever it came to the waivers, because obviously I'd then find myself accountable for that. But I'll ensure that don't shut down my computer or don't close the screen before I go live on this one. Week 2 waiver wire. So again, hope everybody has had a successful start to the season. I, in my redraft leagues, 4 for 4 wins out of 4, which I'm pretty happy with. I scraped over in one of the leagues, in 2 of the leagues actually. One of them I got over by 2 assists, one of them I got over by a block and a rebound, which, I mean, a draw would have been okay, but obviously starting with a win is ideal. And there's certainly been players that I drafted that I was expecting were going to do a little bit better straight away. Bones Highland is probably one of the main ones for that. D'Anthony Melton, who I expected to kind of grow into the season a little bit, has just started really, really poor, and he's kind of found himself on the waivers everywhere that I've drafted him, and for most leagues that I'm in, actually, he's out there sitting on the waivers, which is annoying. But there's also been some really good finds on the waivers. Benedict Maturin, somebody who's been picked up in a lot of places because of his hot start to the season. Jayden McDaniels, some of my leagues, he went undrafted after a poor campaign last year. These guys are now not even in the conversations that we can have for waiver wire pickups because their ownership has just skyrocketed. Which is cool, and it's good whenever you find a player like that. I managed to get Maturin in, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I managed to get Maturin in a couple of places, and I've got high hopes. I was targeting him in my drafts, but I didn't have him as high up on my board as others, which could very well prove to be a mistake. And he passes the eye test as well, Maturin. It's crazy that in this, there's still like 30% of Yahoo leagues that he's not owned in, and there's like something like 60% of ESPN leagues that Maturin's not owned in, which is just ludicrous. He's got to be owned pretty much everywhere. He plays basketball at the same pace as Anthony Edwards, and with the same confidence and with the same ownership that Anthony Edwards does, which I really, really enjoy. Hopefully he's going to get his assists up and his steals up. But, yeah, I mean, this is not the Benedict Maturin podcast. This is the Waiver Wire podcast, and he's not on there. So, to get it kicking, I'm going to start with a guy who I do expect is going to drop off a little bit, mainly because he hasn't really done what he's doing right now in his career to date, and that's Jaylen Nowell. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, owned in, and I should caveat all of these picks with I've been trying to find players who are widely available in both Yahoo and ESPN. I try to get under 40% ownership in both. There is one player on there which is 51% owned in Yahoo, which, again, not ideal, but still, he's on there because his ownership on ESPN is 10%. So yeah, at the time of recording, I try and find as lower ownership as I can for effectiveness as well, just so that you guys are actually a chance of streaming these players. There's no point in me talking about, say, Maturin, given that he's owned in a lot of places, or not a lot of places in ESPN, whatever. If you're in a Yahoo league, chances are you're not going to get him. But yeah, Jaylen Nowell, Minnesota Timberwolves, he has been playing some really nice basketball off the bench in 20 minutes or just under 21 minutes a night so far this season. 15 points, nearly 2 triples, 4 boards, a steal a game. He has just been playing some really smart basketball, playing really aggressively, which is what you need with somebody coming off the bench. He's owned in 11% of leagues in Yahoo, and he's only 1% of ESPN leagues. As I said, he is hollow when it comes to his stats. You're really only getting him for points and triples. His percentages aren't that great either, and he is going to chip in a steal. And I do expect that he's going to drop off a touch. But I think that he's worthwhile running with the hot hand while he's still got it. So Jaylen Nowell, don't really have too much more to say about him. It is, as I said, hollow stats, 15 points, a couple of triples and a steal is really what you're going to look to get out of him. And he's probably not going to be a long-term hold. Royce O'Neale, he is playing unbelievable basketball right now, given that he is Royce O'Neale. We've always known that he's a really good utility defender. He did quite a lot of that at, I think it was Utah last year. He's owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues, 9% of ESPN leagues. He's obviously playing for the Brooklyn Nets at the moment. He's dual position eligible. The main reason that I like Royce O'Neale is because you're going to get, he's averaging right now 2 blocks a game and 2.5 steals a game. He feels a void. He feels that, he feels that utility can guard 1 through to 5 void on the Brooklyn Nets, and that's what they've brought him in for. That's what they need. They don't need offense. They need someone who can play really good lockdown defense, and that's what Royce O'Neale does. Are you going to get 2 blocks a night? Are you going to get 2.5 steals a night? Are you going to get 1.5 triples a night and nearly 6 rebounds out of him? Maybe not. Are you going to get 36 minutes a night? Yes. Do minutes equate to opportunity? More often than not, yes. And are you going to get a steal and a half, 2 steals on one night, and then maybe a block? I reckon that, you are set for 3 stocks a game with Royce O'Neale. You do have to take into account that he doesn't put up many shots, so you're not really going to get much scoring. You're not even going to have a real scoring outburst. And he's not really going to contribute too much in assists, but the defensive stats, they're just really, really appetizing at the moment. And steals and blocks are so hard to come by on the waivers that Royce O'Neale should be somebody that you're streaming whenever Brooklyn play. I was having a look at their upcoming schedule. They only have 3 games this week, which does make it a little bit tough because it's not even a double-header game off then a game. They've got a couple of games in between, so he is one that you're going to have to pick up and drop if you are wanting to play the waivers efficiently. But I think Royce O'Neale is got to be up there on your priority list if you are looking for defensive stats and if your team is deficient in those defensive stats. I'll be honest, I can think of a few of guys in my league that are really score heavy that could probably discard a couple of points, discard with an RJ Barrett type player and bring in a Royce O'Neale, who I had a look at Basketball Monster and he's ranked inside the top 30. Obviously, that's not going to happen for the rest of the season. Is he going to have top 100 value? Potentially, yeah. But he's running hot right now on the defensive end, and it's not as though he's not known for his defense, if that makes sense. Like, he's known to be a good defender, so that's why you can trust that his defensive stats are going to stay where they are. I really like Royce O'Neale. He's somebody that I'm targeting on my waivers as well. Walker Kessler, I really like. I like Walker Kessler's upside. I really don't like his downside though. He's owned in 41% of leagues on Yahoo. He's owned in 9% of leagues on ESPN. I reckon I make up a fair chunk of the ESPN ownership. The reason that I like Walker Kessler, he's going to be close to a walking double every single time he takes the court, and you're going to get 2 blocks a game every time he takes the court. His downside. You're obviously going to get no triples, you're going to get no assists, you're going to get no steals. And he shoots the ball like 40% from the line on like 4 shots a game. So it's not even though he goes to the line once or twice a game, and you can live with that. 4 shots a game and only making like 1.5 of them is just that it hurts, especially if you're playing in a deeper league where you've only got one, or you might not even have one of those real high volume guys. It really does hurt. So Walker Kessler is somebody that I love for the upside, and if you can hide, and if you're not going for free throw percentage, no issues. Take Walker Kessler all day, and I think he should be owned in a lot more places than he is. But just be mindful that Walker Kessler is going to hurt your free throw percentage. But having said that, 8 boards, 8 points, 2 blocks, 21 minutes a night. I think that's going to go up, and I think that's going to go up as the season progresses, because, and what Utah is 3-0, it's going to get to a tipping point where Utah go, we're not going to be winning any more games. We want to lose, and they get rid of or stop playing your Kelly Olynyk's, your Jordan Clarkson's, your Mike Conley's, and that frees up minutes for everybody. So I do think that Walker Kessler is going to eventually see 26, 27 minutes a night, and I do think he's going to be a consistent double-double if he stays out of foul trouble. So, I like Walker Kessler. I think that his upside definitely outweighs his downside. So definitely take a look at Walker Kessler if you are in need of decent field goal, boards, and blocks. Everyone's in need of blocks. Isaiah Hartenstein. So he's the one I was referring to at the top there. He's only in 51% of Yahoo leagues. He's only in 10% of ESPN leagues. I don't, and I have never trusted Mitchell Robinson, so stands to reason that I trust his backup. He's getting 30 minutes a night, 11 points, 10 boards, a steal and a block, good percentages. I think that he has got to be owned in a lot of places, this Hartenstein. Do yourselves a favour. Check him out on Instagram. Check out his missus on Instagram as well. That sounds disgusting, Mark. Don't cancel me. Mitchell Robinson can't stay healthy. He can't stay on the court. And Hartenstein is showing that he can play some really good basketball. We saw it in lower minutes last year. He was only getting 20, 22 minutes a night last year at the Clippers. He's up to 30, 31 minutes a night to start the season. And he is putting those to work. He is playing some really good basketball, and I think he has got to be somebody that you should be owning pretty much everywhere. In fact, a lot of the leagues that I'm in, he's not available. And these are ESPN leagues where he's owned in 10% of leagues. I think he's got some genuine holding potential, not just streaming potential. And if he hits the waivers on any of those leagues, I'm picking him up. And finally, I'll be honest, a guy in my league picked this guy up yesterday for today's games, and I laughed at him. I thought that was a bit of a waste of a waiver. I wasn't expecting this guy to explode the way that he did. He is owned in 20% of leagues on Yahoo. He's owned in 2% of leagues on ESPN. Before I read out his name, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks, playing 20 minutes against Atlanta today. He's averaging 23 minutes a night. If he's out there in any of your leagues, go pick up Nick Richards of the Charlotte Bobcats, Charlotte Hornets. he's going to continue to get minutes if he plays like this. Plumlee sucks. He's no good. They're not playing Mark Williams. Nick Richards is, and they are playing PJ Washington a little bit at the 5, but predominantly at the 4. I think Nick Richards has got to be high on everybody's watch list and everybody's waiver list. Do yourselves a favour, pick him up for the next Charlotte game. If he bombs, drop him, fine. But if he stars and he plays another game like he's just done, or even if his minutes are high, all you've done is use one waiver to potentially get a season-long guy who's going to play some really good basketball. Maybe a little bit inconsistent basketball, but really good basketball. If he bombs, then you dropped him and you've only wasted one waiver. But I think that Nick Richards has got to be owned in a hell of a lot more than 2% of leagues on ESPN and a hell of a lot more than 20% on Yahoo. It just is absolutely ludicrous. Charlotte are also... There's discussions, obviously, early on about how long LaMelo Ball's out. If LaMelo Ball's out for a prolonged period of time, do they tank? Do they try and maximize their draft pick, knowing that Miles Bridges is probably going to go to jail, probably never going to step foot on the basketball court again? Is there a basketball version of the longest yard? Maybe that's the next time he takes court. LaMelo Ball is really, Terry Rozier are really the only two guys there that they can build around. Stands to the reason that they might tank. If they tank, no way in hell Plumlee stays on that court. Nick Richards is a guy. He's a good basketball. I was watching him today, and he looked good. Passed the eye test, and as I said, even outside of this one game, I thought it was just a flash in the pan. His first game, 19 points, 10 rebounds. Backed it up with 26 minutes. He only had 6 and 6, but hey, today we had 20 and 11, 2 blocks. Go grab him. Go and get him. Yeah, that is that. Again, hope everybody has been successful for the first week. If you are following me on TikTok, I do apologize for the lack of videos and the lack of responses lately. New baby, some sleepless nights, and yeah, just been absolutely knackered. So bear with me. Until next time, don't forget to rate and subscribe.